I get asked the question all the time, what is inflation? Now, there are different ways to look at inflation because there is a deeper purpose behind them, and there's a deeper explanation than just prices go up. The International Monetary Fund, who is not your savior, not your friend, they are absolutely your enemy financially. They define inflation as when prices go up and the cost of living becomes more expensive within a nation, which is true. However, the truth behind inflation is even the term inflation comes from the act of inflating the monetary supply, the amount of currency on the market. Every time a central bank, which I'll get into in a moment, every time a central bank prints more money on behalf of a nation, they're increasing the supply of dollars in the system. Now, just like anything of value that you would trade, a memorabilia, a collectible, the less of it, the more scarce that it is, the more valuable it is. The more abundant that it is, the less scarce, the less valuable. So the reality is that prices go up in a certain instance because the value of the currency is going down because it's now less scarce. The other way to look at inflation is to understand that central banks, like the Federal Reserve here in the United States, are not federal and they don't have reserves. They are privateered banks that are owned by a small group of people around the world, and their only two actual purposes on earth are to print money and manage monetary policy. So, in order to have a central bank in your country, which again is not part of your nation, it is a private corporation, what happens throughout all of human history is the largest mega corporation owners, the largest businessmen in a nation, collaborate to bring a central bank in. This permanently embeds them as being closest to the money printer, and those closest to the money printer always prosper. Now, here's the reality of inflation. So we know that prices go up, value of the currency goes down, but one thing you'll find out through all history is that prices go up in a very systematic and coordinated effort, whether it's commodities like gasoline, gold, and coal, or it's general goods and services in the marketplace, they all rise. One thing that is absolutely needs to be known by everyone out there is inflation is not a necessity of life. The only reason it exists is because we are printing fake fiat money into a system which is stealing your wealth, especially the middle and lower class. So the reality of inflation works like this. When you have mega corporations that collaborate with banks and governments, it is a systematic approach to drain wealth from the middle and lower class and from everyone, but generally the lower and middle class. So what happens is when they print money, they start saying that prices are going up. Then corporations, the biggest corporations, raise their prices first, and all the smaller ones have to raise their prices to stay in competition. So now you have a devalued currency and higher pricing. This allows them to point fingers at one another. Like the IMF says prices are going up. That's the real problem. It's the company's fault. And the companies will say, well, we have to raise our prices because the value of the dollar is going down. And they'll make this argument and people will participate in it for the rest of their lives, not realizing that it is a coordinated effort to drain the middle and lower class. And it is also not a necessity. With real sound money, true sound money, inflation does not exist. Whether it's backed by metals or things like Bitcoin, that's the reason cryptocurrency was originally created with Bitcoin, was to create scarcity in the value of currency so that there would no longer be inflation. Inflation is theft. Inflation is an invisible tax that doesn't need to be approved because it is collaborated between central banks and mega corporations who control the buying and selling of commodities, goods, and services for mostly an entire nation. So join us again for our next evergreen piece of content here. We're going to try to put out less than 5-minute videos for you to share with your friends and family to understand the way things really work outside of what they teach you in business school. So until next time, I'm Eric Rice. This is The Rice Report. Thanks for coming to Real Talk. Thank you.